In Going Backwards news submitted by 86 Corolla, humans are getting dumber and science doesn't know why.
I know why.
Science doesn't know.
Science doesn't know why.
Joe does though.
I feel so dumb.
Steve, why?
I do. Who knows why?
Why?
Because
Internet?
See?
Because we depend on our phone. I don't know how to do math.
Yeah, but we should be smarter.
I can't spell anymore because my phone just predicts every word I want to say.
Yeah, me too.
We should have been smarter because of this, but it went the other way.
What does dumber mean?
I'll type in Google Sheets, and it doesn't automatically correct like in my phone. So then I'll just be like, whatever, I misspelled it, and then it'll be like, no, you have to correct it.
I used to be able to semi-calculate tips at restaurants, but now that my wife is basically my fucking tip calculator, I can't even do it. If she's not there, I'm like fucked.
So women make you dumber.
No, relying on something makes you dumber, for sure.
Yeah, true, 100%.
We used to know how to read maps. I don't know if anybody knows how to read a map.
I don't know how to
anymore.
read a fucking
And
map.
you were in the military, you should know how to read a
I
map.
know how to read a map.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't.
Waze, I know how to read Waze. What are you talking about?
Google Maps.
Yeah.
I know how to listen to directions.
But is it dumb to be efficient?
I think efficiency causes dumbness.
That's like how some people, they don't want to pick out their outfits because that uses brain power, and they just like to open their drawer and like wear the same thing every day, like Steve Jobs did.
Yeah, I like that actually.
That's efficiency.
Because he needed to save his brain power. Oh my god, I'm wasting so much brain. Do you know how long it took me to figure out this Harry Potter dress today? Guys, I get it now. Who's the Thanos girl? She also did that, and that didn't work out for her.
Nebula.
No, Thanos.
Thanos?
Oh my god, Elizabeth Holmes. The girl who spoke really deeply, was blonde and wore black turtlenecks, and she. What?
I didn't watch that.
Oh, right, the documentary. She copies Steve Jobs.
Yeah, she's got copy Steve Jobs, but she is like an
The
idiot.
girl that doesn't blink. She's like,
Yeah. That lady.
Oh yeah, that chick. The chick who doesn't blink.
That Thanos?
No, it's
it's a real life.
I was so confused. I was like,
I kept thinking
purple
Marvel
guy?
Tunnel.
I never saw that.
documentary. This real chick.
Yeah.
Who like duped everyone.
She didn't waste time getting dressed in the morning, and she turned out to be very stupid.
Yep. Very smart for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
She duped everyone.
Yeah, she duped a lot of people.
So Norwegian men had been given tests for their military service from 1970 to 2009, and they found that the average IQ scores were actually sinking now in more recent years.
Can I make a Bart
I
joke?
forgot what we were talking about.
No, don't even try. Don't even try. What are you gonna do? Why you got thrown in the bus?
Oh,
like that?
well, they messed up because they were testing on men.
That's what you mean
Are you
about.
saying that Bart got dumber since you've been with him? I see.
I don't think that's a Bart joke. Keep going. Because usually people
Well, no
laugh.
one, no.
Usually people laugh.
No one got offended.
I laughed.
Make an apology video. You're right.
Yeah, you should.
That was funny. I like that one.
Thanks.
That was a Bart joke. I like that.
Alright, so there had been a steady uptick in average IQ scores known as the Flynn effect, and that lasted for decades. But now in more recent years, they're noticing that it's reversing. And so they're just like, oh, why?
So that's alarming to people? Because to me, I'm like, how much smarter do we fucking need to be? I don't think...
Not much.
Our life is so good.
Yeah, did we reach the pinnacle of smartness, and now it's like there's nowhere to go but down?
We have refrigerators. We got fucking TVs that are inch thick. Like, do we need to
cure
be
to cancer?
smarter?
That'd be cool. I
if
feel
we
like we
already
have
have
it. Yeah, we have it. It's being suppressed.
Like, do we need to be smarter as a race? I don't know.
How do you determine IQ? Is it the ability to think critically and solve problems, or is it to?
Yes,
have you ever
It's,
taken an IQ test?
I have.
I did, but I don't know if it was reliable because it was online.
Oh, those?
No, I took one in person in junior high, and it's like it's your ability to solve problems without having a previous bias. So, for example, they can't use tractor. They can't use terminology that only people growing up in a certain area would know. So they can't go, okay, here's this motor part, and you're like, motherfucker, I never worked on a car before. How am I supposed to understand what a piston is?
Yeah, it's like association with shapes and things that.
It's just basic concepts to see how quickly you can solve
I'm
problems.
stupid.
So what they're saying here, though, is that it's between a distinction between crystallized intelligence, which is all the stuff that you've been taught and remember, and fluid intelligence, which is your ability to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what IQ tests are generally measuring.
It's trivia versus people who build things.
They're saying that they generally measure
What's better?
crystallized intelligence more. So that's why schooling, changes in schooling that de-emphasize memorization have been the driving force in the decline in scores.
What is crystallized intelligence?
It's the stuff that you've learned, that you've been taught, and that you remember.
And how fast you have access to it. So like, let's say if you learn all of history, I guess someone that has smart crystallized intelligence, you go like 1492, oh, that's Christopher Columbus. Or like certain dates, boom, you have quick access to it.
Declarative knowledge.
All the things that we had rhymes. Teachers taught us rhymes. That's how we remember.
So then,
1492, Christopher sailed the ocean blue.
It's like let me try to reach some people out there. It's like Spank Bank. You need to jerk off, and you got it in your. It's quick, ready to go.
So you know now that they've been changing the school system into not having kids memorize things anymore. That's why the fucking Common Core math is like, oh.
Wait, so what does that mean? How did we learn? What are they teaching them
So
now?
now the difference is instead of knowing just off of the back of like in your memory knowing 2 plus 2 equals 4.
math?
Okay.
That's no longer being taught. It's like, oh, now you have to know like what to like breaking down each 2 and knowing that it comes
sounds
to
like
4.
philosophy.
Yeah, it's like so much more complicated. Like I had to get Isaac a tutor because I'm like, I don't fucking know this shit. But
How's that different? How's that different from how we learned?
That's what my sister has a little kid now, and she's about to start having to teach this shit, and she's like, no fucking way.
yeah,
Maybe that's why we're getting
like
dumber.
extra complicated because they want them to know the
theory behind it?
Why it
theory
works.
behind it exactly, and not just memorize it.
That sounds cool to me.
But it's not.
But
Oh,
they're
it
saying-
sucks. Okay.
It does sound cool, and I think that's why they moved in that direction.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about just IQ tests here, it works against the IQ tests because they're testing you on what you've memorized, which now people don't memorize.
Also, they should change the way they do IQ tests.
Exactly. That's what. That's
So the
one
test
thing.
needs to change.
I learned 2 plus 2 is 4, and I learned why. Because if you put 2 with 2, it's 4.
2 apples, and
Yeah,
if I add 2 apples,
Maybe I made a wrong example.
Tiff, they actually changed that in the IQ test where it's more just things that you're solving without bias.
Yeah, it's more fluid
yeah,
intelligence.
yeah.
At least the one that and this was back 20 years ago.
Yeah, because they figured out there were cultural biases, like they would say duvet or whatever, and then certain groups would be like, what is a duvet?
yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
duvet. Going
So
up.
in order to assess intelligence or IQ all over the world, they had to figure out things that they didn't have any cultural bias or anything. Yeah, so it was just like what patterns and shapes or what's the next progressing shape or
A
number
lot of
or
dick
whatever.
pictures.
Yeah, what dicks, what doesn't fit.
Pretty universal.
And it's like 3 dicks and a tit and you're like, which one doesn't fit in this picture? You know, like
Yeah,
You can't fit a dick in a pit. A tit.
tit, no, titty fuck. You have to
disagree.
combine the 2.
But yeah, so they're also saying that other proposed explanations as to why these IQ tests have been declining is unhealthy modern diets, increasingly trashy media, and then the prevalence of reading. Like,
This is a little cunty, isn't it? Jeez.
as well as the schooling.
Terrible. The food they were eating in the 50s
wow.
was like, turns out it was like straight up Teflon and chemicals. Like, I can't believe our parents are still alive based on what they were. How is what we're eating worse than what they were eating?
Yeah, what about the hungry people during the Great Depression? They were not even eating.
That's why I always tell people, we're so resilient, people don't know, man. When people are like, oh no, don't let your kid eat any of that, oh boy, I'm like, come
My
on,
dog
man.
doesn't eat grains. It's my choice. He would eat them. I give him a grain-free diet.
Why is that better?
I don't know.
They're supposed to live longer.
I love it, because you got successfully advertised to. You were reached.
Yep.
That's funny.
Does he fit in skinny leashes better? Instead of mommy leashes?
He's still a puppy, so we don't know how curvy he's gonna be.
Well, yeah, I mean, feeding them corn and grains and stuff, they die faster.
Really? Our dog lived for like 15. Like all my dogs consistently hit 10, 15.
You fed them corn?
Whatever the fuck.
Pedigree. Tyson ate the worst of the worst.
Forever, and they're all surviving, right?
They were outdoor dogs too. All my dogs.
Confused. I do feel dumber though. I feel like when you're consistently in school and you're consistently learning things, I felt like way smarter, which is crazy. At 22, I think I knew more at 22 than I know now. I have a lot of life experience, but like I don't remember shit.
I think it's the process of exercising your brain. It keeps you smart because you're constantly like having to access knowledge. But I think once you start going on cruise control and you don't really have to critically think that much, I think that's when you get dumb.
start reading again.
And reading stuff too, because I've actually, since doing JK News for all these years, I feel like my brain has been exercised more than like straight out of high school.
Because you've been reading and you got to think about what you're reading.
Yeah, because straight out of high school, like I went to work at a hospital and I wasn't learning anymore. I just learned my field and that was it. And then I was just working every single day and not yeah. Not
I read
stimulating my
Twitter.
brain.
I feel like that's pretty stimulating.
That's very
Yeah.
stimulating.
Getting
Very
into
stimulating.
arguments online, that's pretty stimulating. Yeah, I love that shit.
That is brain exercise.
I don't know, because I just don't really fit with the idea of like, so dumb is subjective too, right? So unless we're looking at a specific field and it's like, okay, you're dumb in this field.
Yes.
Or whatever, because recently they did a study on EQ, which is emotional intelligence, right? And a lot of successful people rate high in this criteria, where previously we thought people with IQ would be superior in the workplace and things like that. Yeah, but that only, I guess, like consists of like 20% of people with high IQ end up becoming successful, whereas people with high EQ is like a huge rate. I don't remember the
Yeah, but
stats,
dumb people have so much confidence. It's so awesome.
That's
to
true.
see.
When they're delusional
Ignorance is
dumb and all that,
bliss.
Yes,
yeah, they can
it's really-
really get far.
It can
Because they're
become
so
beautiful.
dumb that they don't even have any like
Guilt or shame.
yeah or
like,
negativity. Yeah, it's just all optimism.
They're
they
so
just keep
dumb they think
going.
they're geniuses.
Yeah.
That's when it gets really
I feel
fun.
like you just described our country.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
But that's how you get ahead in life, right? And then you have all these super smart people that are like in debt and they're losers and they're angry and then they're just yeah.
Well, smart doesn't equal success.
No, it doesn't. But I think a lot of people think that though because of what IQ was drilled into people's heads. It's like high IQ equals a lot. You have a lot of smarts.
But
and
then
all
how
this.
come nobody took no one gave me an IQ test? That wasn't like a standardized test. You want to talk SAT scores. You know what I mean? Like, how is IQ the measure of intelligence, but none of us were given an IQ
It's
test?
hard to administer properly.
Really?
You need like a one-on-one proctor person, like watching you, timing you. It's hard.
Who decides,
Yeah.
you know what, I really need an IQ test.
I have no idea.
Put out
How did you get one? Why did you get one?
So I got in junior high, I got in like a shit ton of trouble all the time, and then but then I always got like the top score on the test. So like the teacher was like, "This guy's weird" or something. So we need to figure out what the fuck's wrong with this guy. And then so they're like, was he cheating or like what's happening? And then so they had to give me an IQ test. To
What's
see.
your IQ?
At that time, it was like 135. It was a range, like 135 to 145.
What is the range? Like a credit score? Like where do you?
Do they
what is
factor
the range of a?
300 is considered decent.
Oh, do they factor age in? Are they like?
145.
Oh yeah. All of that stuff is factored in. Yeah.
I took a gifted and talented, like when I was like 8, they were like, oh, let's like see if she should be in gifted and talented. And I had the same thing. I was like acting out in class, but I feel like I'm like, I don't know what kind of intelligence this is where you're like sneaky or conniving. I knew some of the questions they were gonna ask in gifted and talented tests, so I got in because I already knew how to
find
say
out?
the right things.
You know what? That is talented.
Someone else told me. That's what I feel like.
It's
That's
not
like,
gifted, it's talented.
Well, high IQ usually means deviant too because it's just easier. You're thinking about how to cut corners because that's actually smart.
Yeah.
That's why people are like, you cheated to get ahead. I'm like, yeah, they did. Good for them. They fucking figured it out.